welcome to another Easy Bit vlog. I'm really excited because tonight we embark on a bit of a road trip. So there are three guys that are in the documentary that don't really live very close to me at all, but thankfully they kind of live near enough to each other that I can do one big trip and go and film catch-ups with all three of them. So tomorrow, which will be shoot day 8 for the Easy Bit, I'm going to film Gareth. The day after that I'm going to shoot Alamin, and the day after that I'm going to go and shoot with Lee. So tonight we're going to embark on a big road trip and drive overnight, get to a hotel, get a bit of sleep, get up in the morning and go and see Gareth. I'm really looking forward to seeing all of the guys again. It's going to be really nice to see Gareth, I think, and catch up with him, see how he's been getting on. So yeah, so I've got a long night ahead of me, but I think it's going to be fun, and it's going to be an intense but interesting few days. So I'm going to do a vlog for each day. So this one I expect will be some nights driving sort of montage, and then tomorrow you'll see Gareth and hopefully we'll shoot a little interview with him, like I've done with Richard and James, and I plan hopefully to do the same with Alamin and Lee, assuming I have time. So yeah, so that's the plan for the next few vlogs, so stay tuned and hopefully I won't look too tired. Gareth, lovely to see you again.
As you, Tom. Good to catch
up. So I want to start by asking, what was it like coming and filming the Easy Bit? What was it like coming for that day that we shot in London?
It was a very strange day. It was the first time I've ever done any studio filming. Everything else has been a bit more relaxed up to that point, of phone interviews and pictures, so I didn't really know what to expect. London's nightmare for parking, so it's a train trip, so that was an ideal time for a bit of reflection, a bit of thought. Not have to worry about driving and what you're going to do when you get there. It was a good couple of hours to sort of read through some of the questions that you were going to ask and have my mindset, and obviously most of that went out the window when we got in the little basement in London, because you can't quite prepare yourself for it. It was probably something I needed more than I realised, to actually talk to a bit of equipment, just a camera, and not feel anyone else is looking, although you're doing it for a media thing that anyone can see. For that brief hour it was a bit of complete openness time, so it was very more emotive than what I expected. It probably was the one time I've choked up more than anything, recalling some of the events from it. But completely not what I thought a film studio in London would be like. The glitz and glamour Hollywood isn't in London for the average film projection. It was quite a long day in the end. There were train stings on the way back, and that again gave another set of time to sort of wonder what would come out. We spent quite a lot of time talking and knowing that what could be edited out in film wise, I wouldn't want the job of having to whittle down the information and sort of wonder how you guys can do what you can do from an outsider view. It's quite incredible seeing the innards of how you produce something of that scale. Yeah,
I remember. So that you were the second interview that we shot, and Richard was the first. And Richard brought in some notes, and there were things he was like, I want to refer to this, I want to make sure I get this right, like that. So in my mind, that was kind of how those interviews were going to go. And then you came in and you sat down, and I asked questions, and it just came like literally just straight from your heart, and every answer was just perfect. And it was really amazing to see you just bare your soul almost to do that.
I think it was a first. I didn't want anything scripted. Everything else, you always get your set of questions, and you almost want to get it across a point. Everything's always been either for Fertility Network campaign or for the Facebook promotion. It's always had a purpose, and that the documentary film was the first time it was me. It was my story. It was how did I feel, not what did I want to do, or who did I want to help.
Right.
So it was lovely to sort of read it, get an idea of what you're after, and then throw it away and just see what happened during the filming. And it was, I think, really good for me.
Yeah, no, it's an incredible interview. What was it that made you want to take part? When I first kind of met you and I mentioned it to you, what was it that made you go, yeah, I definitely want to do this?
Two-part. One has always been an awareness for me, ever since the end of my treatment road was, as it were. I wanted an awareness and a campaigning element of it about it, and knowing someone was putting their time, their money, and hope that they could even break even on something was just really close to heart of what I'd been trying to achieve. So it was a much bigger scale to what I'd have the knowledge or ability to do, but it was my chance to contribute that bit more for a global awareness. On the other hand, I knew it would bring up a lot more things that I hadn't probably discussed up until that point. So it was, every time I talk is my own counselling as well. It's still, it's years on, 10 years from the start, still don't think I've got out everything that I should have done during the journey. And it was just that nice bit of time to just try and come to terms with what we'd gone through over the past 8-9 years, as it were, at the time of film. Yeah,
I agree. I think, even after you think you're finished with all of this, regardless whether it's a successful thing or not, you find days where you're like, oh, I need to process this element of it that I'd forgotten about or I didn't know. And I feel the same. Like, there'll be days when I'm like, oh, yeah, I need to kind of think about that a little, reflect a little bit about that, because maybe I haven't dealt with that. Like
the most unexpected things trigger your reaction.
Yeah.
And you think, why am I? And then you think, actually, it's probably because. And oddly, any element as far afield from family or finances or children as you can get, certain things come up and they take you straight back to a moment of that journey that you think you probably haven't quite come to terms with yet.
I absolutely 100% agree with that. So if you could give one piece of advice to men who are going through this sort of fertility journey, what would that piece of advice be?
For me, it would have been get a bit of help, feel a bit more comfortable talking about it a lot sooner. Everything I've done has been in hindsight. I've overcome it. I've suffered the consequences of losses because of probably me not dealing with things as I should have done 9-10 years ago. It's easy to think that you shouldn't do anything about it at the time, that you need to be the rock, that you need to be the supportive one. I speak to many people that feel that's their position, but actually I think as a couple we lost everything because that was how we went about things. I think actually what we should have done, and my advice to others, is just to accept it and to embrace it. Just work with it, get some help, speak to others, and you'll find you're really not on your own. You couldn't be further from a load of like-minded people that all want the same thing. They all want that someone they can talk to and can relate to, and it is slowly getting out there. Yeah.
So if you could give one piece of advice to clinics and to the medical professionals that deal with this about what it's like for men, or something they could do to improve that, what would you say to clinics looking back on how it's been?
I think clinics need to look a little bit fairer at the male aspect of it. Ours was very nice to me throughout the process, but I certainly, looking back, don't think I was involved with as much.
Right.
It was a lot on Natalie's well-being and Natalie's welfare, and rightly so, going through what she was, but I can't remember a time through all of the failures and miscarriages and said, are you okay? How are you feeling with this? I've always said after the event that the mandated counselling, I think clinics should really consider. It's mandated on the first one, but not subsequent. And I really think if we did the first because we had to, and I think we would have done every other one. I know we would have, because you would have still been striving for that goal. And I think it can be too little too late after the event. And if you do process things every step of the way, then it should help. So yeah, I hope clinics can take a little bit more of that on board and think that there are two people in it, and just because you don't mention it or get asked about it, it does have probably as bigger emotional effect as what it does on the other half.
That's brilliant. I 100% agree with that as well. Thank you so much for doing this, Gareth. Thank you for bearing all in the interview for the film, and thank you for doing this today.
No trouble.
And well, hopefully we'll see more of you in the future.
Indeed. Thank you.
Thank you.